So, I just want to make a quick video, and hopefully it will actually be quick for once, about a certain topic concerning the cover of Dark Souls. If you've seen my lore video on Artorias, you might have seen in the comments there's a lot of people confused over whether Artorias is left-handed or right-handed, if he's on the cover or not of Dark Souls, and I just want to clear this up because some people seem to be a bit confused, okay? This is the cover for Dark Souls in Japan. As you can see, it's featured the Elite Knight and he's looking into darkness, blah blah blah. Cool cover, great. And then this is the cover for Dark Souls as seen in America and Europe and so forth. Now, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, it says on one, Bandai, on the other, From Software. That's because From Software developed and published the game in Japan, whereas Namco Bandai published the game outside of Japan. This basically means that although From Software made the game, Bandai were in charge of the box art outside of Japan and publishing it, selling it to shops and promoting it, making trailers and all that sort of stuff. So in other words, the Japanese box art was made by From, and the American and European box art was not made by From. And if you need further confirmation of that, just check out the Dark Souls design works where Miyazaki says, "It's interesting to compare it to the cover art used abroad. It really is completely different. I just gave them all the materials and took no further part in the design. So I was actually really looking forward to seeing the results. I was really surprised. I thought the finished cover looked really cool, especially the cover used for the special edition, which is this one here. As you can see again, it's the Elite Knight helmet with a Black Knight reflected inside it." Now, this is where some people seem to be getting confused. When the PC version came out, what was it, last year? It was the Prepare to Die edition, which is also out for consoles. The difference between this and the normal one is, this includes the Artorias of the Abyss DLC. And yes, that is Artorias on the cover. And yes, he's holding his weapon in his right hand. He's also holding his weapon in his right hand in-game and in this concept art right here. But that said, some people seem to think that this version of the cover also features Artorias because the sword looks a bit like his and the shield looks like it might be his shield, and here he's holding the sword in his left hand, so people were a bit confused. They think this is Artorias, but that isn't Artorias, okay? That is just art created by Bandai Namco using the assets sent over by From. Now, that might well be Artorias' sword. It's a bit hard to tell from because it's not really well lit or anything, but even if that is Artorias' sword, that doesn't really mean anything, because if you look in a lot of the trailers made by Bandai, they have like characters holding weapons that make no sense. For example, they have a character dressed up as Kirk but holding Artorias' sword, then they have like a thief using a Darkwraith sword, and so forth. You can't really go by what Bandai Namco done, what they have done. This is most likely the Elite Knight. I mean, just compare this to the Japanese version. They both have the same sort of ridges on the helmet, the same sort of ridges on the shoulder plate. They both have the it's not exactly a scarf, but the thing around the neck there. And then even though the shoulder plate is a bit different, it's clearly supposed to be the Elite Knight, though perhaps stylized a bit. The shield actually looks more like the Border Shield to me, even if the sword is Artorias' sword. That's not Artorias. I mean, even if you compare him from behind, it looks nothing like him. For starters, there's no plume, and the leg armour is completely different, as is the waist sort of, it's not a waistcoat, but the cloth hanging from his waist. I suppose you could call it a surcoat, but it's not really the same sort of thing. So, is Artorias on the cover? Yes, on the Prepare to Die edition. Is he on the normal cover? No, that's probably meant to be just the Elite Knight and not Artorias. Is Artorias left-handed? Probably not. He's probably right-handed because in all the concept art we see of him, he's holding his sword in his right hand. And yes, it's true that his left arm is broken, but that's probably his shield arm, which he used to try and block an attack. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you still think that this is somehow Artorias, well, you can keep thinking that, but Unless someone from Bandai or From comes out and says that is meant to be Artorias, I'm pretty convinced it ain't. Anyway, that's everything. Just thought I'd make this video to try and clear up, because I think a lot of people haven't seen this cover art. I think they bought Dark Souls more recently and they've only seen the cover art with Artorias on. But then, I'm not really sure. Who knows? Because some people are convinced that Artorias is left-handed because of the cover art, which shows someone holding the sword in their left hand. But again, made by Namco Bandai, who don't know, like, I mean, whoever made that probably hadn't played the game, probably didn't know that the characters hold the weapons in their right hand generally. Because again, it wasn't made by someone who did the art on Dark Souls. It was made by someone probably in marketing at Namco Bandai. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and hope you all have a good weekend, and look forwards to a special video coming out 3 PM GMT on Saturday. Until then, ciao.